deciding to get married to one another is definitely taking a leap of faith.
Guys, it has been a while since we last saw Ari and Biniyam on 90 Day Fiance, and you will never believe everything that secretly happened in their lives since then. There have been a few seriously bizarre updates with them lately, from custody battles to crazy career changes. You'll never guess what's gone on with them. But guys, I don't want to waste any more time, so let's get into it. So Ari and Biniyam haven't been on TV since they finally decided to get married in the US, and since then a ton has happened, and it seems as if a lot of Ari and Biniyam's original plans have just come crashing down completely, because Biniyam doesn't appear to be as focused on MMA fighting lately, despite saying it was his dream, and that's partially because he, Ari, and their son Avi have left New Jersey. But instead of moving to New York City like Biniyam wanted, they're now living somewhere completely unexpected. Ari and Biniyam now appear to be living in Las Vegas, but they were also staying in Iowa for several weeks, and even though the decision to go to Iowa might seem super random, their reason for making an extended visit to the Midwest was incredibly important, and that is because Biniyam's first son Simon lives full-time in Iowa with his mom and her new husband, and for over a year Biniyam had been trying to legally become more involved with his oldest son, and even though it hasn't been an easy journey, his custody battle with his ex-wife Bria has an astonishing update. So guys, according to Sarcasm, Biniyam and Bria's custody battle case is finally over. They'd been scheduled to have their case brought to trial at the end of October, but it looks like Bria and Biniyam managed to settle, and what's been, released about their case is absolutely insane. So as disappointing as it may seem, barely any big highlights from the court case have been revealed, but it's extremely likely that Biniyam now has regular visitation with his now 60-year-old son. At least that's what one of the court filings seemed to indicate, and it's pretty surprising because last fall, the court officially filed worksheets and child support paperwork for Biniyam to complete, and almost immediately after, Biniyam made it clear that he didn't want to waste any time, and he proved how dedicated he was to being a part of his son's life in a really significant way, because Biniyam reportedly finished everything he needed to and filed his paperwork right away, and then an actual child support order was put in place by the court. But the details about custody and parenting time have been kept under wraps for a couple of confusing reasons. So for at least 2 months before that point, the court had issued and kept a protective order in place, and I can't help but feel insanely curious about why that might be. Now, unfortunately, the purpose for the protective order has been sealed from the public, and the motive behind the case's records being restricted is completely mysterious. So Biniyam and Bria are both behind the reason for the majority of the court records being inaccessible. The two of them filed a joint request for the court documents to be sealed, which I'm sure could be due to how much people are just interested in all this. But apparently, Bria also had some rules for Biniyam that she requested to add. So in another court order that was issued, Bria made it obvious that she had more conditions in the case. Mainly, she didn't want Biniyam to be able to say too much about their legal situation, and sadly, that does mean that he was legally forbidden from mentioning it on 90 Day Fiance, and it's unknown if Biniyam is still banned from opening up about certain aspects of the case, because he might not be allowed to talk about Simon or the custody situation no matter what. But on the other hand, the order might have only covered the specific timeline of what happened while they were in court. But either way, Biniyam has continued to be remarkably quiet about the situation on social media, but not everything from the case is off limits to the public, because it's impossible for just anyone to access the court records from Biniyam and Bria's case, but docket entries are still available to the public, and although they don't disclose very many details, however, some of the information was released before the court records were sealed, and it's pretty unbelievable stuff. So, it's not something that the court just decided, as strange as that sounds. So based on the original petition that was filed in September of 2021, custody of Simon might not be split equally, and that's not something that the court decided, as strange as it sounds. But Biniyam only initially requested joint legal custody and a consistent schedule for visitation, and even though he's living in Las Vegas now, hopefully being a part of Simon's life is still a reality. reality. And there's also been another outrageous change in Biniyam's life lately, and I don't think anybody could have, predicted this, but he's decided to pursue another career besides MMA fighting, and his newest choice is so unreal. So Biniyam is now an apprentice hairdresser, according to a really shocking clip that Ari shared on her Instagram. So she was shown sitting in a salon while Biniyam was dancing around, and you are never going to believe who else had their hair styled by Biniyam. So Biniyam has done different types of braids for Ari, but he actually did some hair coloring for her mom, Janice, too, and she also shares updates on her Instagram about the couple, and what she recently posted is pretty intriguing. So just a few weeks ago, Janice shared a photo of her and Ari spending some time with other 90 Day Fiance stars. They were apparently hanging out in Vegas with David and Annie, but there was someone noticeably missing from the picture. Biniyam wasn't in the group photo, but it's very likely that he was just busy with yet another one of his side gigs, because at the beginning of the year, Janice shared an announcement about her son-in-law that was pretty crazy. So it turns out, guys, that Biniyam has been working in a high-energy circus, but now he's doing his best to follow his pro fighting dream, and he's seemingly still interested in MMA, but now he'd like to venture more into the UFC, and I wonder what Ari thinks about all that, because actually Ari has also been working on changing her career path, and what she's hoping to do is pretty bizarre. So she's really interested in working as a production assistant, and you'll never guess what inspired her. I guess Ari's dream of being a member of the production crew was what sparked her time in reality TV, but despite her experience as a cast member, working behind the camera sounds like it'll be a major adjustment, because as a production assistant, Ari would help out on set during, several odd jobs and whatnot, and she might be printing scripts one day and the next day her main role might be totally different. But aside from communicating updates to the cast and helping the production crew, Ari would also assist the director, and with that job, it's just really hard to picture her wanting to return as part of the 90 Day Fiance cast. But what she recently revealed during an Instagram Q&A is pretty insane. So Ari was asked if she and Biniyam would be back on TLC in the future, and she refused to give an actual answer, but she asked her followers if they wanted to see her and Biniyam on the show again, but that was all. However, that's not the only topic that she was asked about, because one of Ari's questions was if she and Biniyam are planning on having another kid, and surprisingly, she didn't totally shut down the idea, but she did say that she'd like to wait until they were a little more financially stable before adding to their family. And Ari also seems to be keeping busy by spending a lot of time with her mom in Las Vegas, and during an Instagram live, she shared why her mom is around so often while her dad is rarely in her posts, and her explanation was kind of unexpected. So interestingly enough, Ari admitted that her parents have spent a lot of their marriage living apart, and she said that her mom travels a lot for her job in healthcare administration, but she's often in Las Vegas, and apparently her dad still lives permanently in New Jersey, but they're still happily married. So I'm sure Ari and Biniyam have appreciated having Janice, around Las Vegas to help with Avi at times, and it definitely sounds like the couple has been extremely busy since we last saw them. Not to mention, they have made a shocking amount of changes in the last year, so it'll be interesting to see if they ever do return to 90 Day Fiance, but I honestly don't know if they will. But what do you guys think? And what do you think of Ari and Biniyam's new location and career paths, and what are your thoughts on Biniyam's custody update involving his oldest son? Guys, let me know in the comments down below.